Hello and welcome to the launch event for Wings of Fire, Book 14, The Dangerous Gift by #1 New York Times bestselling author Tui T. Sutherland. I'm Amanda Maciel, executive editor at Scholastic Press, and I'm so excited that we're all here together to celebrate. Tui is absolutely the best, as you all know, and these books are just a joy to work on. I know that you all have a lot of questions. I want to thank Barnes & Noble for hosting us. The Q&A is already open and already very full. Tui and I will talk for a few minutes and then we will open it up to you guys to talk to us. I am just waiting for Tui's video to start and then we will get underway. Hi.
Hi.
It's always a joy to talk to you about these books. I know that this is what we do all day, every day, but seeing all of the comments and all the Q&A just reminded me how much I also have lots of questions for you all the time. I'm a huge fan of these books.
Well, plus I'm I'm using my events as an excuse to hang out with people I don't get to see as often as I want to. So thank you.
I know. Well, we see each other now more than we Zoom, which is really nice. Actually. We could have been doing that all along.
That's true.
So welcome. There's 405 people here.
Exciting.
407. No pressure.
I was trying to read the chat and I was like, I can't keep up. It's so great.
So it's been a little bit of a wait for Snowfall's book, but it so delivers. You guys are in for such a treat in 3 short days. And yeah, yay, I do actually, after all these years and 14 books plus 4 graphic novels plus the 4 winglets that are now all in one and 2 Legends books, I still have questions for you too. So let's start. And then we will get to the Q&A, guys. I know that there's a lot you guys want to know too. So I took the last couple of weeks and just loved reading from book 11 and revisiting Sky and not Sky, Blue and Cricket, and the Pantala world is so incredible. But it reminded me that I have a question about the prophecies. So each arc has a prophecy. Which comes first, your idea for what the arc is going to tackle, or like the poetry that you write?
That is a good question. So, okay, I'll start with the first one, the original prophecy. I actually, the very first version I wrote of that was really short. It was basically like, okay, dragonets, save the world, go. Like it was really, really had very little information in it. And then as I started working on it and figuring out all the stuff that comes to light in book 4, things I knew were gonna happen later in the series with like who wrote this prophecy and like what are they trying to do with it, I was like, it needs to be more specific. It needs to point to specific dragons and it needs to hint at a certain outcome. So so then I had to go back and rewrite it, and I rewrote that one many times. With Moon's prophecy in book 6, I did write some of that before. Like I had a few different ideas of where they would all point to. So I was kind of doing it simultaneously. I was like, okay, and I know that this could lead to this, or it could point to that. So we'll see where that goes. And I had kind of an image in my head of what would happen in book 10 with Jade Mountain will fall. So that was sort of there. And then with the last one, the Lost Continent, that one is more of like instructional. It's more like, hey, Pyrea dragons, like we need you to do something actually. So so that one I felt like I do know all the secrets. Like I knew the secrets as I was writing it, and I kind of liked the rhythm of it. Like I don't write a lot of poetry, but I like the like a secret here, a secret there kind of feel of it. So yeah, so that's a very winding answer. I kind of do both simultaneously.
Well, I love it because I mean, series take a lot of plotting, and you have this 5-book structure where, you know, and I love looking back on it now that we are you know, nearing the end of the 3rd arc, but and kind of seeing these patterns that I hadn't noticed before, where like the character that kicks off the arc is like beloved by everyone. Just like the sweetest, best. And I love the sort of tough, dare I say, like a little bit righteously furious girls in the third books of each arc. Like, and I was thinking about that a lot because I think the fourth book really is such a pivot point, and you need a character who's kind of turning the action, but those tend to be characters that are very overwhelmed by the seriousness, because at that point things have gotten very serious, right?
And also, I can't,
yeah.
oh, I'm hearing an echo. Oh no, wait, it went away. Okay. I also, the thing about the fourth book, it's actually usually the hardest one for me, the fourth book in each arc, because I can't solve any of the problems yet. So, you know, like first book is like introduce the problems, second book is make it worse, third book is like, oh, we think we fixed it. Oh no, we haven't, big crisis. And then the fourth book is like, get to the fifth book and the fifth hero will solve all the problems. Sorry, fourth hero. So,
I know the best you can do in the fourth book is like not create even more problems for them to solve.
Right? Exactly. It's like not die. It's kind of Starflight's main goal. He's like, can I survive this book actually? But I still want them to feel like, I mean, they're part of saving the world, you know, they're like, everyone is important no matter what kind of personality they have or how inclined they are to save the world. But yeah, no, you're totally right. And I actually very deliberately for the fourth book of this series was like, I need a different kind of character because Starflight and Turtle are both, you know, not the most active protagonists, like especially Turtle. I've talked about this before where he's like, could I just hide under a rock for this entire book? That sounds perfect. And I was like, no. And I had to send in Kinkajou to like drag him out and like make him save the world. So with this one, I was like, I actually want to go in a really different direction because I knew I needed a lot of energy to get us to the 15th book. And so I wanted someone who was like, who fit the themes that I'm working on in this 5-book arc in a very different way, and who like left to her own devices could just create story around her. Like she, you know, unlike Turtle, who would happily just sit and read in a corner, or Starflight.
Right. Well, and I mean, without giving anything away, Snowfall doesn't necessarily want to be part of this situation either.
That's true. That's true, actually.
In her own way.
The whole world. She wants to save her own kingdom. That's pretty much it.
Right.
But she definitely is very active. She's gonna, it's, you know, if she sees a problem, she's gonna go yell at it. So
how was it, this book you draw in, because we now have the characters from Dragon Slayer, we really know now. We have all of Pyria, we have all of Pantala established. What was it like being the puppet master of just this cast of thousands? I feel like almost everybody makes an appearance in book 14. I don't want to, no promises, not everybody makes an appearance, but most of your beloved are showing up. Was that harder? Was it, I mean, did you wish you could go back under the mountain with just 5 dragonets and
I mean, actually, that is one of the things that made Snowfall appealing for book 14 too, is knowing I was gonna be bringing back like all these dragons we haven't seen in a while. And if I did them from the point of view of someone who only vaguely knows them, and in fact doesn't know some of them, then it would be easier. Like I wouldn't have to be like, oh, and so like when she sees, let me think of an example, when she sees Kibli, she's not like, oh, here's Kibli and his entire tragic romantic backstory and like the whole thing that happened with his family and everything he did. She's just like this annoying sandwing, like, and like, hopefully the readers are like, oh, it's him, and get excited. But you know, but for her, she's like, okay, I can put this character in this box and this box, and you know, she's sort of, you know, she's got a lot about her own stuff going on. Yeah, in fact, if you ask her, like, she's the only important dragon here. And like, really, she's very busy. So,
yes,
so
she's very busy and important. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So she's like, you know, got her own stuff, and so it was fun because I could bring in everybody, but without feeling like I had to spend pages and pages on like how we're all feeling about each other, because he doesn't care, honestly. So it's hinted at in the conversations you hear, but you don't necessarily get all of their backstory. Sorry, this one wants to say hi. This is my very scruffy puppy who is
his hair is amazing.
It is ridiculous. Like Him and my 8-year-old are having a contest to see who can have the silliest hair by the end of quarantine. Because we both don't want to get their hair cut. He looks very silly right now. Anyway,
He's winning. Oh, I love it. You're so cute. It looks like very clean, the silly hair.
He does get occasional baths, but they just make him more matted and ridiculous. So one day when we can go outside again, he'll be all shaved and it'll be very good looking.
Does he like the snow?
He doesn't mind the snow. He hates the rain though. So the minute it starts to melt, he will stand at the door and be like, "Can you turn this off? Because I don't want to go out. Can you just fix this?" And then I'll go out.
It's drippy. Yeah.
It's drippy.
No, it's no
It's
fun.
not ideal.
Spring is hard. So speaking of snowfall, and again, not giving anything away, one of the major themes of the book so far has been relationships with parents. And I have been thinking a lot about how much you explore like what parents expect of you or what you think they expect of you. And if it's too much, that's hard. If it's too little, that's hard. I just wanted to kind of bring that up and hear more of your thoughts on exploring all those things, and particularly with Snowfall. But with all the dragons, it's really such a consistent theme in how these characters like navigate the world and
yeah no, definitely. I mean, from the very beginning, as you know, my the first book I started writing like right after my first child was born. So so parenting has been on my mind a lot for the last 10 years and I'm assuming will be forever now. So and I think so I'm kind of interested in how different kinds of parenting affect them in different ways. Like I actually think Queen Glacier was on the better end of the parents in this world, but as an Icewing, like their whole culture is very like regimented and very I guess authoritative parenting. Like it's very like, here are the things that are expected of you, like you said, like really high expectations, and she puts those on herself too. So as opposed to being like very like lovey and affectionate, like I would say the Ringwings would or the Silkwings would be. So I was interested in like, she doesn't have Queen Glacier around now, but she still has these voices in her head of like, it's not just her mom's expectations, it's the whole kingdom's expectations for, I am supposed to be the kind of dragon who would be at the top of the lists and be just great at everything I do. So that's something I can really, with or without my mom, I think I would have been the kind of person who's like, who wants to get all the A's. So
right. And I do kind of find myself drawn to the Icewings, and that at least their expectations are spoken out loud and very clear. Like,
that's true.
No confusing what you're supposed to do or where on that wall you're supposed to be.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes. The other thing that you do so well is really move the dragons through how to, they're all trying to save the world in some way or another, or trying not to save the world, but their relationship to fear really interests me, because first of all, they're dragons. Like their list of natural enemies is short. One another, right? But they all have to, and kind of what we were talking about before with the like how the characters kind of show up within each arc. But Snowfall in particular has like a really specific relationship to how she manages her anxiety and her fear of what's going on in the world. How do you access that and like live in that space while you're writing these characters? And
it's interesting because that's exactly what I was thinking about with Snowfall is people who approach the world from a place of fear. Like that's definitely in sort of a bigger thematic way I was interested in. I don't feel like I see the world that way. Like I love people. I cannot wait to get my vaccine so I can go out and hug all of you. Like I'm coming to your houses. I'm hugging you the minute I can. And I'm also like, everyone come live with me. Like I have, which is not very Snowfall at all. She's very like, everyone stay out and it's safer this way. So the way into her was like, well, what do I worry about? Like, what are my anxieties? And certainly, being in the middle of a pandemic, it was like not too hard to imagine suddenly the feeling of like, actually, yes, let's all stay in our houses and not talk to each other. And then, you know, the what I think of her also is very protective. So she is, she's not just anxious for herself, she's anxious for the whole kingdom, which made her more relatable to me than someone who is only thinking of themselves. So, so it was kind of both things. It was like, not that I completely understand the like idea of living in a place of fear, but that I can imagine the anxiety, like I understand that. And so how can I get into her that way and then kind of like slowly slide her over to the hugging side.
Right. Yes. Well, and it was so interesting reading, you know, obviously I read all the books a couple of times, but getting to sit down and just read book 13 and then book 14 immediately after. And the way that Sundu is like not afraid of anything, you know, except maybe not getting the recognition that she so thoroughly deserves. And even that makes her more bitey than it does make her afraid. But so it's almost invisible, but you know, they're all scared of some, you know, they all have something to lose. That's the stakes of the novel. So I am gonna get to the Q&A. For one more question from me for now, but which dragon do you think would do best in core?
Lockdown like that.
Who's thriving right now? Who's got the best sourdough starter? Andor is now a YouTube star or whatever.
Right. Oh, man. I mean, I think as long as he has his people, like Clay would be okay. You know, he's like, as long as he's got his little group to take care of, you know, like kind of like, you know, like I've got my kids and that makes it much easier than, I mean, not for the writing, but it makes it easier for the day-to-day living, knowing I have them with me. I was saying this to Adam, actually, that this experience has confirmed for me that I would be great at like a 2-year trip to Mars. Like I could handle being on a spaceship and not being, as long as I could take the kids with me. And Clay is the same way. He'd like want his people with him. But I think that also like, I think the book readers, you know, I think Starflight and Moon and Cricket would, you know, as long as they still could get their library holds, they might be okay because they've got lots to read. I mean, that's definitely gotten me through this, like you know, feeling like I'm not completely trapped because I can go anywhere as long as I've got the right book. So,
no, that makes sense. In the chat or in the Q&A before we started, I noticed there were some questions that, and this comes up all the time, so I'm gonna let you answer it at the top. Kinkajou and a book for Kinkajou.
Oh, Kinkajou.
I know you and I agree on her, just her vibrant presence at all times.
No, I love writing her. I mean, I guess you know, what I've said is I haven't written a book about her because I sort of feel like she's already saved the world, like lots, and feels, you know, that she, I mean, not that she could definitely do it again. She probably will, like several more times. So, but I don't have a story that like needs to involve her changing in some way because I like her the way she is. But I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm working on like a short thing for a future thing that's from Kinkajou's voice. And oh my goodness, like it is all over the place. Like she is like, so I'm about to tell this story, but actually I have all these other thoughts. Let me tell you all of them. And I was like, this book would be like 1,000 pages long if I actually like wrote it from Kinkajou's point of view, because she has so much to say. So one day when we start publishing 5,000 page books, then that'll be Kinkajou's story, maybe.
Perfect. I'm totally here for that. Somebody asked why dragons, which I feel like is a question, something we haven't talked about in a while.
Oh, okay. Well, because dragons are awesome, is the easy answer. Dragons, I feel like when I write, like writing a world where all the characters are dragons, it was kind of like writing about superheroes. Like they can all fly and they can all either set things on fire or freeze you or like magical death spit you. So it kind of gave me this like bigger, like, and like set of options to work with the characters. And I've just always loved them. I feel like dragons are very cool. And then like, you can also write about like bigger, darker things when it's dragons dealing with them. Whereas if it was like humans, it's a little sadder. Like even writing the first couple chapters of Dragon Slayer, I suddenly felt really bad. I was like, who would do this to a tiny child? And I'm like, I've done worse to my poor dragonets. So actually, but the dragons are tough. They can handle it. They have each other, and that's the important thing. So they'll be okay.
There's a question about how you came up with like the elaborate social structures and cultures on both continents, which I think is a really good question. Like,
yeah,
how do you, I guess that's sort of partly like you have to get inspired, but you also have to then probably do some amount of sort of research or just at least deep thought about those.
yeah. Well, to me, it feels like, so this comes up sometimes when I talk about like plotting versus like plotting out the whole series versus like kind of making it up as I go. It doesn't feel like making it up as I go because I spend so much time like planting all the seeds and like figuring out what's happened in the background. So like it's actually one of my favorite parts is figuring out the history of the world and like what happened before the story started to sort of set up all the rest of this. And so, I had done that for Pyrea, but then like getting to do it again for Pantala was really fun because I started thinking about, well, what do I know? I know that cricket showed up there. How would that change things if suddenly you had a dragon who could see the future, like appear in your world? And like, she's not bad, obviously. I love clear sight. Did I say cricket? I meant clear sight. And so clear sight shows up and she, what would she do with that power? And like, what would I do with that power? I would protect my children, but how could that go horribly wrong? And then how do you take that sort of personal story and turn it into a bigger societal story? Like I like thinking about starting with like character based stuff and like then trying to like extrapolate it out to the whole history.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Hang on, the Q&A is wall to wall, which is amazing. There have been a couple of questions like which book was most difficult to write, which book was most fun to write. If you don't mind the books overhearing you while you answer that question.
I know, they're all right here. I love all of you, I promise. This is definitely one of the most fun to write was book 8, which I know is your favorite too. Because Carol is like, her voice is so much fun. She doesn't worry so much, or she doesn't think twice about everything she says. She just kind of says it. Like if it pops into her head, she's going to say it out loud. And she's, inclined to set things on fire when she's mad, which is really fun. Like none of my other characters would do that. So that one, and then also book 11 was really fun to write because it was starting over. It was like figuring out this new history and the new characters and introducing this like really fun new world. The hardest to write, I guess. I usually say like the 9th book. I'm all the time complaining about Turtle. Was pretty hard because I knew all of these big terrible things, but I also wanted to. And then actually Dragon Slayer was kind of hard. The Legends book about the humans because I was like, oh, I'm going to write about humans. This will be so easy all of a sudden. Like I can use the word hands again, which I haven't been able to do for 10 books. And then I was like, oh no, wait, I actually have to figure out their entire society. And this book is due in a month. So quick. Like, what's happening here? And so I think I told you, like I had this like crazy dream. I mean, I have these all the time. I've told you this too, but like that I have these every time I have a deadline coming up, I have packing dreams where like I think the suitcase is the book and I'm in my subconscious and I'm running around trying to fit everything into it and like I have to get somewhere. But in this one, I was on a train. I was trying to pack everything that was on the train. The train was leaving without me. I had to get off the train, but the train left with all my stuff. The train is wings of fire. It's gonna go, and I haven't put all the stuff on or off the train. I don't know. It was such a like. I was having great stress about Dragon Slayer, but I figured it out in the end. Thank goodness.
Yes, absolutely.
Finally, like it was actually something Kari, my sister, said that kind of I was like, oh, okay, now I can actually because she was like. So I like what you've written, but it feels like you need another like 200 pages. She's like, where's the rest of the story? And I was like, yeah, you're right. I got to keep going. Oh no. Oh no, what happened to Amanda? Oh my goodness. This happened to me on a different event too. She poofed, she did. I'm sure she'll be back. I can just hang out and look at these 597 questions in the chat. You guys, I love you so much. I cannot even. Let's see. If flame silks can withstand fire, can they touch peril or any fire scales? Ooh, that's an interesting question. I think we haven't had that. Like, I might sort of reserve judgment until I actually get to write that sort of scene. But my sense is that the fire they can withstand is their own flame silk and not any fire. So it's not like Clay's power. It's a little different. Wait, I'm in the middle of the questions. Let me go up and see. Will I make a fourth arc? That's a fun question because that for Amanda not to be here for. because Amanda has also been asking me this question. So I haven't decided yet. I have to have a really good idea before I can jump into like 5 more books, you guys. My children will be in high school by the time I get through 5 more books. Oh, there's the question about the TV show. So for those of you who don't know, it has been optioned by Warner Brothers and Ava DuVernay to be a TV show. I know, I'm very excited. And I think that exciting things are happening that I am not in charge of. So I get to kind of wait like the rest of you and be like, what's going to happen next? And it sounds like all lovely, wonderful things. So I just know that the people involved are amazing and I trust them enormously. And I think it is going to be really cool when we finally get to see it. And I'm hoping that I get to be involved when we get to like the script stages a little more. Sorry, now I'm looking at this Q&A and it's like moving because there's so much is happening. Is Wasp an animus dragon? No, she is not an animus dragon. Which character do I think acts like me the most? There's a little piece of me in every single dragon. So there's like, I try to find something that I connect to in all of them. I usually say Sunny because she's like, when I started the series, she was the one that I was like, this is how I would react to being in a prophecy about saving the world. I would be super excited and I'd be like, come on guys, we can do it. Think positive. But there's like, I'm definitely also like Starflight where I'm like, let's read some books about it. And I've got Clay, like I have that same sort of like I want to take care of everyone that I love. Let's try to think. Oh, and Tsunami, like super bossy, just like Tsunami. I'm a big sister. And Glory's way cooler than I am. So I guess I'm not. I don't think I'm like my connection to Glory is just feeling like wanting to get things right the way she does. I'm also seeing pop up like, are we going to do another scavenger book? So this is very weird, like talking to myself in my office to this lovely chat. Oh, I can talk to you. You can help me answer questions. What was the question? So here's one. It says, if Ren will be in the dangerous gift, will Sky be in it too? That is a excellent, very smart question. And I am going to not answer it because it's spoilery, but by not answering it, I think hopefully you can guess what the answer is. Let's see. I'm looking at these questions. They're pretty excellent. I've heard rumors of spider wings. Is that true? That is an idea I had that I haven't done anything with yet. Because I haven't given any spider names to any dragons, I don't think, because I was like, I'll save them in case I need them one day, but they're not showing up in like number 15. I think I see Amanda coming back. Amanda!
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Rainbow Dog and I just like hung out.
Oh, good. I know you know how to look at Q&A.
This is true.
I think I was like scrolling through it so furiously. It was like, no, get out.
Right.
Leave us alone with Tui.
Some sinister technology gods. Pretty funny.
All right. What did I miss?
I answered some questions. I don't think I did it very well. There's so many and they're so good.
Did you see all the questions about future books?
I did say like we don't know yet about a fourth arc because I have to have a really good idea. And sometimes those come to me like as I'm writing book 15, I might be like, oh, I know what I want to do next, but I don't yet. So and doing another scavengers book, like I do have an idea for that, but we haven't figured out if I'm going to do that or when. So
yeah. Did you tell them about Forge Your Dragon World?
I didn't. Let's do that.
It is an interactive journal with tips from Tui about how to develop your own graphic novel based on Wings of Fire or based on your own idea.
I mean, I would say the other people who helped work on it, especially Phil, our designer, did such a good job. It's like really fun. So I wish that I did not prepare by having one next to me to hold up the cover, but it's so cute.
Yes. It's really cute, and it's got space to draw and write and develop characters and lots of inside tips from Tui. So, and that should be out in May.
So if you're still locked down in May, it'll give you or hopefully you can like go outside and do it in the sunshine. That'll
exactly.
that'll be nice.
Really looking forward to getting outside again. Has anybody asked you? Because I've been wondering now that you have. I know you were always a rainforest dragon yourself, but now that you have this whole new continent, and let's assume before the tree wars, is there another habitat that you find particularly appealing and would want to move to? Or
yeah, I mean, I could see being one of the silk wings because I kind of, they're also like pretty peaceful dragons. I think they're very conflict averse the way I am. And the leaf wings, like I love the idea of being able to control plants the way that Sundew does, although I would probably be like the worst person to give that to because I don't like going outside. I'm like allergic to everything. So I would be like, can I make the trees grow from in here? And that the answer would be no. But yeah, so yeah, I think either the silk wings or the leaf wings, kind of depending. I mean, I love writing the leaf wings. I especially love writing their sort of divided tribes where like it's the poison, like what they call the poison wings.
Yeah. Somebody asked how you come up with the designs of the dragons. And I'm wondering that too. And I'm also wondering, does it, like once you come up with one, does it affect the powers or abilities that you give to the others? Do you think in those terms?
Yeah, I mean, so one thing, that I did right at the beginning of everything is thinking about the different habitats the dragons could live in, and thinking about what kinds of like skills or powers or abilities they would have to live in those different places. And I watched that Planet Earth documentary and I was like, okay, so the underwater dragons and the swamp dragons and what would they have? But then thinking about Pantala and all the new dragons on that continent, and I was thinking I need a new idea that would give me a lot of good names because I had so much trouble with like coming up with Icewing names, for instance, and also like something that would give me a new cool set of options to work with. So so I ended up on insects, also like watching more documentaries. I watched that one, Life in the Undergrowth, which is terrifying. There's like giant crickets that climb trees and like eat like baby birds. I was like, no, oh my God. So many terrifying ideas in there. I was like, I could definitely make an extremely scary dragon out of this. And then I was thinking it did inform kind of two different tribes because I was like, I want my gentle tribe who are more based on the butterflies, and then my like scarier tribe, which is based on all the other insects that I'm terrified of. So what, how could they like coexist, and like what would that mean if I made them like kind of have those polar opposites to each other?
Right. Somebody wanted to know how faithful you feel like Joy's art has been to what you've envisioned, and
oh God, I love it so much. I feel like she's just a genius, and every single book cover I'm like, oh no wait, this is my favorite. Like they're just so great. I mean, how pretty it is. Am I allowed to show what's on the inside?
Yes, please do. This is the exclusive Barnes & Noble edition.
The exclusive Barnes & Noble.
Which everybody here is getting in the mail, has a poster inside with exclusive art.
Yay. And this one's got a baby dragon in it.
I know.
So freaking cute. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So yes. Oh my God. She's amazing. And I literally can't think of a single time that I've been like, no, not like that. Because everything she does is so glorious.
Yeah.
I think when she first, like, I had kind of described the silk wings, hive wings, and leaf wings. I was like, I want the silk wings to have more butterfly-like wings where there's 4 of them. And I want the leaf wings, their wings to look kind of like leaves, and for them to be sort of like dappled and green and gold. And the things she sent back, I like nearly died. I was like, look how beautiful they are. They're just perfect. They're like even more perfect than I could have imagined. So
I love our new tribe so much, but do you remember when you first told me about your ideas, and it took me like a month to work up the courage to be like, okay, but are they tiny dragons? They're not the size of butterflies, are they?
Based on insects, they're little tiny.
Like, I support your vision so I will do it if that's what you want to do.
And the solution is they just come over and like squash wasp. They're like, we've solved your problem.
Tsunami's like, I think I stepped on something. I don't know.
Right. You hear who? Yeah. So no, they're the same size. But yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have plans to make an official Tui dragon?
What would an official Tui dragon be?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, well, in some ways, there's so many dragons who remind me of you in the books already. And I feel like when Cricket showed up, because Sunny reminds me a lot of you, it's like the way that I know you too, and the way that you approach problems, or with solutions and enthusiasm. But and then Cricket came along, and I was like, this is the
another one.
Bill showed up, and I was like, here's Tui again. So reading the books always feels like spending time with you anyway, because you wrote them. But it's always fun to see the unofficial Tui dragon scattered throughout. Let's see. Somebody wants to know if you're going to introduce new tribes.
Not in book 15. I'll say that. I think it's okay to say that, because there's a lot happening already, and I want to like keep the focus on the 4,000 characters I've already created.
Right.
So yeah, so that would require thinking ahead, and I'm not ready to think past book 15 yet.
Are you willing to say which ship you support the most?
Aww. Well, let's see. Sundew and Willow for sure. I feel like they are OTP forever. Glory and Deathbringer are canon. People know that. I really like. I have a soft spot for Clay and Peril, because they're, Peril's such a mess. And when she needs like someone who is just perfect, like Clay, to take care of her. But she also has to like figure some stuff out first, like be her own person. Right. So it's, I have hope for them. And Blue and Cricket, yeah.
They're good. There's so many good just relationships in general. Like some of the friendships are Keeley and Winter, my absolute, when they're on a page together, you're going to enjoy whatever happens.
Yay. And I actually as I was writing book 14, I felt a little bit of that with Lynx and Snowfall. Like it's different, but there is an element of like the one who wants to be friends and the one who's like, stop talking to me.
Yes. I love Lynx and Snowfall. They have such a great dynamic. Okay. If you were a dragon, which tribe would you be? Is it?
It's still the Ravens, I think.
You don't want like poison darts to fly out of your.
I mean, no, our house is full of sloth things right now, so we're leaning in to the I want a sloth part of the dragon thing.
Totally. You've got room in your backyard. You could have like a habitat.
Oh my gosh. Did I tell you about the time I got to hold a slow loris?
No.
So a slow loris is very similar to a sloth, but tiny. They're like these little, and they have these like little sucker fingers. And we were in Indonesia, so it was like at a bird market, and they actually like handed it to me, and I got to like hold it, and they were trying to convince us to buy it, and they were like, "You just hide it on the plane on the way home. You hide it in your shirt." And I was like, "No, that's a very bad plan, but I would love to just snuggle it for a minute." And it had these giant eyes, and it like slowly climbs up your shoulder and like falls asleep. Although apparently that's what they're like in the day, and then at night they wake up and they start biting the heads off of birds. So
no, you could just get a cat, really.
Right. Have a similar
vibe.
Experience.
You have a favorite villain in the series?
Ooh, it's been interesting thinking about Queen Wasp, who is, you get like a tiny glimpse, if it's okay to say, of something about her in book 14 that I think maybe hints at like what's going on in her brain. Other villains, Darkstalker. You know, he's probably the villain that's gotten the most like inside his head time. So I really get him. And I am sorry to everyone. Wanted something different for him, but you know.
Everyone wants to know who the protagonist for book 15 is. You don't.
Oh, can I say?
Yeah.
If you don't know, it's Luna. Yay! Which a lot of people were asking about for book 14, but it made the most sense for book 15. She is. It's her turn. So, like, you know, book 11 is Blue saving her. Book 15, she's kind of got to go back and save him. And silly Swordtail, poor ridiculous Swordtail, needs rescuing too. So she's on.
Yay. Oh, and there's been a few, what did Pantala look like before Wasp?
Okay, yeah.
Before the wars.
Yeah, so this was actually, it came from a line I saw in another documentary that was all about Africa, and it was talking about how this one area of the savannah used to be like covered in trees. And I was like, wouldn't it be interesting, like what could have happened on my continent to take it from covered in trees to the savannah version instead. And so that it was sort of like led me down the path of the tree wars and like how the sort of war between them ended up like changing the landscape completely. So it was definitely, it was more like what you see in that, and I think it's book 11, when Clearside arrived, and it was trees from like one edge of the continent to the other.
And then just slow deforestation.
Well, or like
tall buildings.
Rapid, yeah.
Slow and then very fast.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, there's still a lot coming in.
1,400 questions.
I feel like I've seen a few questions about cats in general. There's a big cat it's in book 13 in the Poison Jungle, right? But I do feel like we don't see a ton of cats. Somebody is also asking if there would be cat wings, which I feel like is too many deadly things all in one. As an avowed cat person, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that is hard to imagine. No, I haven't put very many like sort of domestic pet like animals in here. I sort of feel like the dragons end up with more like what they would naturally find. I don't know. I'd have to think about that, what to do with cats. There's a question about, do you think you might do a legends book on Jerboa? Am I allowed to say that you get a whole bunch of Jerboa story in book 14?
Yeah, I think people will be satisfied with the Jerboa intel that is coming. Somebody asked if Winter and Nettle will ever meet because they would be great together, and I agree.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, Nettle was great. Like, was sort of someone I sort of threw in because I was like, Sundu needs somebody to fight with, and like Blue's not going to be it. Like, who could she fight with that's on her own team, but like they just fight all the time anyway? And then so adding her into the scenes where they travel through the jungle made it so much more fun, because I was like, everything that happens, like they can just end up fighting about it, and like that's a big part of Sundu like reacts to things by like getting mad at them. So Nettle is a good foil for that. I agree. I think Winter would also enjoy that.
All right, we should start winding down pretty soon. This has really flown by. I wanted to say for everybody who's not just going to read book 14 on Tuesday and then immediately start rereading the series from the beginning, like some of us do. Do you have other book recommendations that you want to share while we're here and all still stuck at home for a while?
Sure. Yes. Okay. Hold on a sec, because I have the Q&A like popped up. Okay.
Yeah.
This is one that just came out recently. Amanda, have you read this yet?
Yes, actually.
I really
early on.
I like this one. Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. Also has a very shiny cover. I love very much. It's super fun. It's like she's just like really tough and really excellent. I always bring up Where the Mountain Meets the Moon because it's one of my very favorites and has such an excellent dragon in it. And also Nimona, because that's one of my favorites too. Has like an excellent angry girl. These books, the Space Battle Lunchtime books, are kind of like a cooking reality show, but full of aliens set on out in space. So those were really fun, and my kids really liked them. And then what I'm reading now, these are actually YA, so for parents, like these might not work for younger kids. But Not Your Sidekick, which is it's a girl. She like people get superpowers, but she's not sure she's going to get one, and sort of like. But she gets, so I'm only a little ways into it, but it's really good so far. And then I'm about to read this one, which is Cemetery Boys.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited about. I've heard such good things about this book.
Awesome. Let me see.
Can I just say, I also, because I feel all like I'm like a dragon. I've got treasure over here. I've got Anne Ursu's new book that they sent me. And Anne Ursu also wrote one of my favorites, which is Breadcrumbs. Like I love all her books, but Breadcrumbs especially. And so this one's coming out later this year, I think, and it has a really cool cover, and I think it's going to be awesome. It's called The Troubled Girls of Dragomir Academy. So, yay!
All right, let me see. We have? All right, people are chiming in on the book recs, which is great. And yeah, let me see. No, this. Still more, the Q&A goes so fast.
I know, it's true.
All right, one more. Along the lines of what did Pantala look like before the tree wars, was there a difference in Pyrea before the scorching? Do you have like a vision of what it looked like there?
A little, and I think you'll also get some answers to that in the future. Yeah, I feel like that one I should not answer because there's gonna be like glimpses of it when we get to am I allowed to say the guide?
I mean, we have plans for expanding into books that will explain other aspects of the world that we'll have news on soon, right? Anyway.
Right. There you go.
I want to remind all the VIP ticket holders to make sure that your Looped app is up and running and ready to go, because Tui will be with you shortly. And I just want to thank Barnes & Noble again, and Tui. Barnes & Noble has been such a huge supporter of this series from the very beginning, and I love that they allow us to do fun things like new art on the inside of covers, and it's just. And I know I love going over to my local store and like just looking at the big shelf of Wings of Fire. It just makes me so happy.
I know. I miss going into Barnes & Noble right now. Like I just want to be there.
I know.
So, yeah,
still go in, I mask up, I take my kid, and then I let him buy whatever he wants.
All the books, yay.
And there are links in the chat to buy the books and to the books that you recommended. So, so thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Tui.
Thank you, Amanda.
Series of all time. I'm not biased at all when I've read them all. I've read every series in the world. This is the best one. And you are the best writer.
You're the best editor. This couldn't have happened without you. So,
Well, you make me look good.
I appreciate
it. Thanks for hanging out.
You bet. Thank you, everybody.